you need a lot of brains, you're going to be in trouble.
All right, guys, let's go like this. Good afternoon. We're going to go right here.
It's the chilling selfie of Bryan Kohberger that prosecutors say he snapped the morning after the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students. His stare is cold, his smile creepy. He's wearing headphones and making a thumbs-up gesture. Court papers say the selfie was taken in a bathroom just 6 hours after the slaughter in 2022. There's speculation that he had just showered to remove potential evidence.
This is perhaps one of the most eerie and chilling parts of this case. It looks like a person who is proud of having done something and who's freshly showered. That is very upsetting, just 6 hours after the murders.
Kohberger has pled not guilty to the murders and faces the death penalty if convicted. The slain student's roommate, Dylan Mortensen, told police she caught a brief glimpse of a stranger in a ski mask. "I just remember bushy eyebrows. That's all I could think about," she said. Just like Kohberger's in this selfie. But when she saw Bryan Kohberger after his arrest, she was unable to identify him. We're also learning more about what the 2 surviving roommates did after realizing something was wrong in the house around 4 a.m. Court documents say they called their parents several times, checked social media, and texted friends. But for some baffling reason, they did not call 911 for nearly 8 hours.
Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
The just-released 911 call captures the moment they discovered the bodies of Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin.
She's not well. What's wrong? She's not waking up.
And News Nation's Ashley Banfield showed me the kind of knife Kohberger allegedly used in the murders.
This is the exact replica. It's a K-bar knife with the sheath and the snap. They say not only did he buy these 2 things, that he also bought the knife sharpener.
Now, prosecutors want to show the jury that creepy selfie with that thumbs-up gesture and those bushy eyebrows.
Bryan Kohberger's trial begins in...
All right. That is what is going on in the world of mainstream media. Well, let's talk about it. This selfie. Well, first of all, where is the selfie coming from? So in order to first talk about the selfie, you're going to have to go to number 1, which is very important documents where the state is trying to, this is their witness identification by bushy eyebrows. This is the state's response to the defendant's motion limine number 7. And it goes to the witness identification by bushy eyebrows. The defendant's basis for his motion are the Idaho Rules of Evidence, Rules 403, 601, and 602. Applying the Idaho Rules of Evidence to the facts of the case at hand, the court should find DM's descriptions of the intruder, including that he had bushy eyebrows, admissible. The state incorporates its previous filing, state's motion limiting the text message and testimony. So they're relying on incompleteness of evidence there, okay, as well as the 911 call, again, incompleteness of evidence there. Now the facts here. On November 13th, 2022, I'll make it a little bigger for you guys. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Sometime before 4:19 a.m., DM observed a person inside her residence, which she shared with her 4 roommates. Now, DM placed several calls and sent several text messages to her roommates. The only roommate who responded is BF. They had 2 short phone conversations, so one of them was 24 seconds, one of them was 41 seconds. The state is alleging that within those phone calls and text messages, DM relayed to BF that she saw a person in the residence wearing black, and he had on a ski mask that covered his forehead and mouth. On November 13th at approximately 11:56 a.m., 911 was called. Again, the caller stated one of the roommates was not waking up. Transcripts of the 911 call, page 2, says that the caller stated, oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Okay. Remember what I told you guys about this? The amount of time that Emily would have been told about this based on when she was called. She's the EA initials. This would have happened between 11:50 and 11:56. So for timeline purposes, for her to say, oh, and they saw some man in their house last night, because she forgot to inform 911 of that. Now, the same date, approximately 12:09. So this will be the first time that DM was interviewed, and it was by one of the first responders, and that's Mitch. He took a statement on scene outside of 1122 King Road, where DM told the officer that she saw a male, not insanely tall, wearing all black, and a mask that that was just covering his forehead and mouth. Defendant's exhibit number 2, page 17. Again, they're taking lines from the transcripts of this interview. This should be on body cam, by the way. Later, DM repeated the description. He was a little bit taller than me. I couldn't really see much of him. And I'm almost positive he was wearing a full black outfit, and he had this mask that was just over his forehead and over his mouth. DM gave the description a third time, repeating he had a mask. He was an inch or two taller than her. He was, quote unquote, basketball player kind of skinny. And I want to tell you guys about that's interesting to me. Basketball player kind of skinny. We're going to come back to that. And a voice she didn't recognize. Okay. Now, the same day at approximately 1:47, so then she's transported, where she then is interviewed by Detective Mowry, okay, at the Moscow Police Department. During this interview, DM reported that she saw a white male she did not know, maybe my height, a few inches taller, skinny, athletic built, wearing all black, wearing this mask that covers just his forehead and here, and like pointing maybe to, like, I don't know, an area. Defendant's exhibit number 3. Again, that's the transcripts. Now, regarding his height, she reported, I'm 5'10", so he's probably around 6. She reported, I don't remember what his eyes looked like either. I didn't recognize eyes, but definitely a white guy. Now, think about basketball, skinny basketball player, now white guy, but definitely a white boy. 4 days later, on November 17th, DM was interviewed by Idaho State Police, Victoria Gooch, and this is the first time we're hearing this, and Captain, back then Sergeant Dustin Blaker, before it was just mentioned that the person that was only there was Detective Gooch. Here is the first time that we hear that Blaker was involved with this interview in this filing. Because normally they do, though, it's 2 people. Like, that's what ISP does. They send 2 people. So, but here it would be Gooch and Blaker. Now, DM gave a detailed recounting of what she did on Saturday. Something that's interesting to me is that she was able to give a very detailed recounting of what she did on that date. And to this point, it's never been mentioned in any filing, but it was detailed until she went to bed at approximately 3:28 or 3:20 a.m. She gives details. Well, this is where you have your first problem, because she says that until she went to bed at approximately 3:20 a.m. On Sunday, November 13th, now to the defendant's exhibit number 6, which was, again, these are pages from this transcript of the interview. Sometime between 4 a.m. and 4:20 a.m. So here, she does not mention that she was awake at 3:50, saving an account, making a new entry into her phone for a new account, new contact, adding a contact into her phone at 3:50, 3:51 in the morning. Why is this significant? Well, right here. It's very significant, as Nancy Grace says, it's significant, Harris. It's very significant. Well, why? Well, because sometime between 4 a.m. and 4:20 a.m., now it's between 4 a.m. and 4:20. Before it was that DM woke up at 4. Okay. Are you guys starting to see this changing? 4 DM woke up. Now, between 4 and 4:20, DM woke up and heard a male's voice, a voice she did not recognize. She woke up and heard a voice that she did not recognize. That's what she woke up to. It's okay. I'm going to help you. Again, this is not the order that we were told in the beginning. Again, at 3:51 a.m., DM's phone registers that she is entering a new contact into her phone, like when you would save somebody's phone number at 3:51 a.m. Okay, so this is exactly verbatim. They take it from page 50, line 11, page 52. They put all of this right here. DM opened her door and saw someone, because it, from my mind, it's like I was almost wearing these like blurry glasses. Like it's fuzzy and cloudy, but it was like a figure of someone wearing all black. And it was like they had a ski mask that was covering their forehead and their chin and mouth. But I could see all I remember was seeing their eyebrows. And I don't remember what their eyes looked like, but I remember their eyebrows. I don't remember the color the eyebrows were. I just remember like bushy eyebrows. That's all I could think about. Now, DM described the male as not skinny tone, that basketball kind of type. DM stated she is 5'10", tall, so she thought the male was around 5'10", and then 6, somewhere around there. DM stated that the male was approximately 3 feet from where she was standing. That is hella close. I would say about 3 feet from what I remember. Again, that could be off because I obviously probably still a little bit drunk. I just woke up. I don't remember fully. I just woke up. She was up at 3:51. Again, she described the male. I know he looked at me because I could see his eyebrows. I think I just saw one eyebrow. I don't know why or how. DM recounted calling and texting her roommate BF. And she discussed with BF that there was someone in the house wearing all black and a ski mask. States Exhibit S2 pages, the transcript. DM conveyed to the interviewers that the facts didn't fully make sense to her, and she didn't know how to explain everything. Detective Gooch explained to DM that the important thing was to tell only things that she knew were true. That's the most important. Detective Gooch acknowledged DM's trauma. Detective Gooch and Captain Blaker confirmed that facts from DM's memory again. DM reiterated she saw a male figure in the hallway, approximately 3 feet from her. He was holding something. He was wearing all black clothing. His forehead was covered. He was wearing a mask. She remembers his eyebrows. Blaker said what was covering his face, and DM stated, I don't know, weird looking ski mask. It wasn't like the regular ski mask with like eyes and, because I saw his eyebrows and I think I saw his nose and like this part of his face, but I don't know. His nose. Detective Gooch and DM, Detective Gooch asked DM if she knew what what's it? Balaclava, right? If she knew what that was, and showed her a picture. In response, in addressing whether she could see the male's mouth, DM stated now, no. And I don't remember if I saw it. Like, I don't remember if I saw his nose, but I know I saw eyebrows. And I don't remember his eyes. I just feel like I can see eyebrows. But I mean, that could be it. I mean, that would make sense why his forehead was covered and this part of his face was covered. Again, they're taking all of this stuff from these lines, okay, in this interview. Now, the investigators inquire if DM could provide a composite for an artist. DM responded, no, I don't remember what his eyes looked like. I don't remember what his nose looked like. What? I just remember eyebrows. I don't know exactly what the eyebrows look like at all. Really, I just remember thinking like eyebrows. Yeah, bushy. But that's all. Like, I don't remember the shape. I don't remember like the color. I just remember like bushy eyebrows. That's the only thing I can remember. Okay. Now, next time would be on December 1st, 2022. This is 18 days after her first interview. DM was interviewed by forensic interviewer Aaron Williamson. This is the first time that we hear about Aaron Williamson. DM gave a detailed accounting of Saturday night. Again, a detailed accounting of Saturday night, which we have yet to hear. Okay? A detailed accounting, but never mentioned that she was saving a contact in her phone at 3:51. You know, a detailed accounting until she went to bed. Now it's until she went to bed. Do you guys see the change? It was, we just read that it was 4 o'clock she woke up. Then it's 4 to 4:20. And now it's just a detailed accounting until she went to bed. Now they're not being like giving a specific time of that anymore. Now, November 13th, again, they're using the transcripts. So DM reported she heard a man's voice, and it wasn't Ethan's. It was like, it's okay, I'm going to help you. She saw a all black figure, about my height, maybe a few inches taller, skinny build, wearing a mask. I don't remember if it was just like one eyebrow or two, but it was just like this bushy eyebrow. DM texted BF, there's a guy in all black. Again, DM described the ski mask. I couldn't see any of his hair. But I remember just like seeing like, it was like almost rectangular. The rectangular masks, not like the circle ones. That's very interesting to me. We'll talk about that later. It was rectangular because I remember seeing like, just like, I don't know how to explain it. Just like this, maybe like I'd be able to see like a cross. I want to see the body cam. But I don't remember seeing his eyes. But I feel like his eyes were there. I could see just like an eyebrow. I feel like that's how I know he saw me, because I could see his eyebrow. Like, if I can see his eyebrow, he can see me. DM reiterated. From what I remember, I think he was just like walking past that like little like wall and going towards the kitchen. And I don't know, like, I just remember seeing an eyebrow. I don't know why. I just see one. It was just like one bushy eyebrow. I don't remember the color, like the full shape. I just remember it being bushy. She described his clothing again, saying the male was wearing black long sleeves, black pants, and black boots. While drawing, she gave a consistent description of the mask and noted the eyebrows. I don't remember if I saw one or two. Like, it was just weird. On December 29, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was arrested in Albright, Pennsylvania. The following day, on December 30th, 47 days after her first interview, DM was interviewed by Idaho State Police, Detectives Joe Lake and Gary Tolson, baby. My man, GT in the house. This happened in Coeur d'Alene. And I was like, whoa, in Coeur d'Alene. Why would this be taking place in Coeur d'Alene? You know, DM lives in Boise. Well, I believe that could she have attended Kaylee and Maddie's event that the family had? So defendant exhibit number 9, DM was asked about Bryan Kohberger. DM was asked, have you seen a picture of Mr. Kohberger? DM responded, yeah, I looked him up today when I found out. Regarding what picture she saw, she stated, I've seen the mugshot one with the vest thing, I think. The interviewer asked, this Bryan Kohberger, the person that you saw in this mugshot, is that the person you saw in your house? DM responded, I have no clue. From what I remember, I just remember seeing this figure that was like not fat, obviously, but more like of like the skinnier tone built and some mask on. I don't know what the mask exactly was, but when I thought about it, it was just like covering here and here. I don't know if it was covering his mouth, his nose, or below his mouth and nose. I just remember knowing that he was white, but I didn't know how he was white. I just knew he was. And this, knowing there's like, I knew he had looked at me because of the bushy eyebrow. That's all I remember. But I have no idea what he looked like. I don't like, when I looked at his picture, nothing came back to me at all. So like, I don't know. I feel like if this is important, I feel like if I saw that, my mind would be like, oh yeah, that's him. But it just, I don't remember it at all. All I remember, but I don't remember big nose at all, like at all. That's like, all I remember is like some bushy eyebrow in all black and some sort of mask, but it's like one of those circle ski masks. That's all I remember. Like, but it wasn't one of those circle. It was like a rectangle mask. On May 15th, 2023, 183 days after DM's first interview, DM testified at the grand jury. CSA's Exhibit S4, grand jury testimony. Regarding November 13, 2022, DM testified she woke up around 4 a.m. to noises. So this is now the grand jury. She woke up around 4 a.m. to noises. Now, I have a hard time understanding how and why. Now we know that this is not true. You were entering a contact in your phone at 3:51 a.m. But she's waking up to, this is what she testified to at the grand jury. Music, Murphy talking, or comma, then talking and or singing. DM testified she opened her door and heard a man's voice say, it's okay, I'm going to help you. And I didn't know who the man's voice was. DM testified she opened her door again and saw a figure in all black, which I believe was a person. I knew the person was white. I don't know how, but I just knew it. Knew it was male. I think I knew that because of the voice. The person was around my height or a few inches taller. And then I knew his build wasn't like scrawny and he wasn't fat. So I figured it was like the basketball tone, like lean build. Regarding what the person was wearing, DM testified, there was like, from what I think I remember, it was like a black mask, almost like a ski mask, but not. It just like covered the head and then maybe up to the mouth, maybe more. I can't remember if it covered just the chin, the mouth, or the nose, or lower. DM testified the clothing was all black. She testified, well, the thing I can really remember was something about a bushy eyebrow. I don't remember seeing anything else, just something about a bushy eyebrow. Now, the argument. Well, so here we go. Again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. Yeah. All right, so we're not going to be attacking people, so here we go. Handled. So this is their argument. Is number one is DM's statements are independently reliable as law enforcement did not employ a witness identification procedure triggering a Manson-Biggers balancing test because they weren't. We'll let you see it on your own. So here, the cases relied upon by the defendant deal with witness identification that result from the use of law enforcement identification techniques. The facts of each of the cited cases are important because they differ vastly from the facts in this case at hand. So they're saying the defense is saying that DM has no idea what she saw. Okay. And the state's over here saying, well, no, she's consistent with saying bushy eyebrows, and she was saying bushy eyebrows, and that's always been consistent. So like that's what they're going back and forth on. And the defense is saying that, well, in order for you to have this be reliable, this test should basically solve it. Like, here we go. And the state is saying, well, no, we didn't have to employ that because we weren't using any techniques. She was just offering this stuff up. So in State versus Heusinger, witnesses were shown a 6-photo lineup resulting in the defendant being identified. Photographs of only Hoisington and a 6-person corporal live lineup, which resulted in witness positively identifying him. Then they're studying a different case where the witness was shown a 6-person video lineup with only one male matching the description given by the witness, which led to the identification of Weirdman. In State versus Trevino, the witness was shown a photographic lineup containing several pictures of several men, including Trevino. This process did not result in identification until Trevino showed up to the police station shortly thereafter. The United States Supreme Court has held that the due process requires the exclusion of identification evidence if police suggestiveness creates the substantial risk of mistaken identification. And they're saying that basically we didn't do anything like that. She's just coughing up this information. So the reliability factors to be employed after a witness identification are as follows. And this is if you use the Manson-Biggers test, which is 1 is the opportunity of the witness to view the criminal at the time of the crime. 2, the witness's degree of attention. 3, the accuracy of his prior description of the criminal. 4, the level of certainty demonstrated at the identification. And 5, the length of time between the crime and the identification. And the defense is like, they don't meet any of this. Okay. The defense cites certain cases that then the states bring up and saying that in each of the above cited cases, law enforcement employed identification procedures that were arguably suggestive. As a result, it was necessary for the courts to employ the Mason-Biggers balancing test to determine if the witness's identification were reliable or instead impermissible because they were tainted by the suggestion by the officers that would lead them to a misidentification. The facts of the Kohberger case are vastly different than the case relied upon by the defendant. In this case, so in the case at hand, on 4 separate occasions prior to Bryan Kohberger being arrested, DM gave consistent descriptions of the male she saw in the 1122 King Road residence around 4 a.m. DM gave the following consistent descriptions. 1, he was white. 2, he was male. 3, wearing all black. 4, few inches taller than DM. 5, wearing a mask. 6, skinny, athletic build tone. 7, not a voice she recognized. During 3 of those interviews, DM also consistently describes the male's eyebrows, but she doesn't talk about it during the first 2. During 3 of those interviews, DM also consistently describes the male's eyebrows. 5 times DM uses the term bushy to describe the eyebrows. Regarding identification, after Bryan Kohberger was arrested, DM was interviewed. She relayed that she saw a mugshot of Bryan. Detective Lake asked DM, is this Bryan Kohberger, the person that you saw in this mugshot? Is that the person you saw in your house? I want to know what picture did he show? I'm just curious. Is that the person you saw in your house? DM responded, I have no clue. She related to like the person that she saw had a mask on that covered his mouth and nose. The only disconcertable features were that the subject was white and had bushy eyebrows. This questioning of DM is not a witness identification. There was no law enforcement procedure employed to suggest identification. Most importantly, there was no identification by DM after seeing a picture of Bryan. She could not say that he was the male she saw on November 13th. DM's multiple descriptions of the male were based on her own recollection and were not the result of suggestive identification procedures employed by law enforcement. So even if the court applies the Banson-Biggers test, the totality of the circumstances presented in this case substantially outweigh any suggestiveness present. So even if the court employs the test, the balancing test of the facts of this case, the court should find that DM's descriptions, including bushy eyebrows, are reliable and admissible. I want to know why they're reliable. Why are they reliable? Because my argument would be that she was awake at 3:51 and she didn't tell anybody that. She was awake at 3:51 a.m. and saving a number into her phone, saving a contact into her phone at 3:51. Never talks about that, but has given really, really detailed of everything that she was doing up until the point that if it was so detailed, then why is this such a blur? But also leaving out this huge, big 3:51, because that would mean when she's saying that she would just woke up out of the blue, what are you talking about? At 3:51 a.m., she's not sleeping. She's saving, and a new contact is being entered into her phone. Okay. I would think that somebody wearing a mask, like you're just admitting that you don't, they have a mask on. So here we go. So they think that regardless, they are reliable and admissible because she's always maintained this. First, regarding opportunity to view. So DM stated that she was only, I cannot believe that they say only 3 feet. That is so close to somebody. How do you say that she was only approximately 3 feet from the male when she saw him? DM was able to get 3 feet and he doesn't kill her? Do you guys know how close 3 feet is? Three feet. So she was able to get enough of a view of the male to determine his outfit, which was long-sleeved shirt, pants, black shoes. So not boots, but shoes, black mask. And the details regarding the mask he was wearing was a ski-type mask without circular holes. Do you guys understand? If you don't have circular holes, then you don't have any holes at all. What kind of holes are we talking about here? Without circular holes. So then it was just a mask that was just all full-blown, like the Bloomin' Group. But covering his forehead and mouth. DM also determined that the male was holding an item, although she was not able to determine what that item was. I thought she said that it was a vacuum. Yes, the one hole. So here, this is they're arguing about we want this bushy eyebrow in. So second, regarding degree of attention, DM's statements indicate during the time of her observation, she was only able to see the eye and nose area. No, she said that she couldn't see the nose. She said it, oh my God. And she said that she couldn't see the eye. She couldn't see his eye. This is not accurate. This means that the only discernible features on the male would have been the nose and eyes. On November 17th, DM states, I just remember like bushy eyebrows. That's all I could think about. Defendant notes Now, mind you, she does not text that at all. She does not text that to BF. Now, defendant notes DM's artwork / drawings found on her bedroom walls, which focus on eyebrows and eyes. See defense exhibit number 4. That's exactly what they bring up. This only proves that DM would have a degree of attention to this. You guys think about how you can just swing anything. So the defense is saying, hey, we noticed, because your detectives noticed, that DM has all these eyes and eyebrows drawings in her room. Okay. And so the swing, how the state swings this is that, wait, this only proves that DM would know and have a certain degree of attention to this facial characteristics, thus reinforcing her reliability, because she loves eyebrows and eyes, basically, is what you're saying. Like, this is her jam stick. I was just like, wow. Dude, you can learn so much from reading the way that these attorneys write motions. You can just learn how to take that, and this is how you this is how you spin it. Just like the defense could do the same thing, okay? But I'm saying, like, wow, this is her jam. Like, eyebrows and eyes, like, duh. She should know all about them, and that's why she knows all about them. And she knew that they were bushy because that's her jam. She pays attention to people's eyes and eyebrows. Well, actually, that's not accurate, because she doesn't know the person, their eyes. She didn't know what color they were, nothing about it. And she doesn't know if it's a unibrow, one brow, two brow. And then she says she doesn't even know the color of the eyebrow. Okay. So again, going back to reliability, because also what the defendant says is that we have to talk about the truthfulness of things. If someone's being truthful. So Kohberger does not have bushy. Defendant says that Mr. Kohberger does not have bushy eyebrows, end quotes. The state intends to introduce a photograph of Bryan Kohberger taken from his phone on November 13th, 2022. Now, this is how this whole thing comes up, because they're saying that the defendant states that Mr. Kohberger does not have bushy eyebrows. And because the defense is saying that, the state intends to introduce a photograph of Bryan Kohberger taken from his phone on November 13th, 2022, only hours after the homicide, now at 10:31 a.m. And now, when I saw that timestamp, and then I heard what people were saying, is that he just got out of the shower. Okay. Well, so here we go. Ready? So you're going to sit here and tell me that Bryan Kohberger didn't take a shower and didn't get out of a shower at like around 10 a.m. And so therefore, when he would have come home at 5:30 in the morning, he didn't shower from 5:30 until 10. But between that, remember, they're saying he left his apartment, drove back over there, and drove back. So he's doing all of this and hadn't showered yet. And the first shower that he took was just a little bit before this photo was taken, because it looks like he had just showered. Well, then I would think that he would come in contact with a lot of things that could potentially transfer the victim's DNA, fibers. Also, did they dig apart that bathroom? Did they take it apart like they did in the recent case out of Virginia, the missing mother, Montauban? They took apart that bathroom. So in here. So now, see State's Exhibit S5. Now, this is what I think is interesting, is that State's Exhibit S5 was attached, okay? So the state purposefully, they've been sealing their exhibits, okay? They've been sealing exhibits. And so here, they didn't seal this. They wanted this to get out. They wanted this pre-trial out here, this pic, okay? So, okay. Whether or not Bryan Kohberger can be described as having bushy eyebrows is a factual determination to be decided by the jury. Yeah, because guess who's going to have to testify to this? You're going to have your expert, who's your forensic person, get on the stand when they did the extraction, and this is a photo that you came across, right? When you did your extraction. And that, yep, we saw that it was at 10:30, 10:31. Okay. So that's how you would be introducing that, is through your expert. Now, third, regarding the accuracy of the description, Kohberger matches DM's description. For me, it's for you to give any so here, the defense is saying what's the relevancy of showing this, right? Well, to me, the relevancy comes in because you can't go around speculating what this is all about. That calls for speculation. What's the relevancy of showing this picture? What's the purpose? What's its probative value? Okay. And so here the defense basically snuffed out that here, you guys are planning on showing this picture with this thumbs up, which we're going to get to. But my thing is that when it becomes what I think relevant is going to be at the sentencing phase. Okay. Would be at the sentencing phase if he was to be found guilty. Because how can you go around offering to say that he's thumbsing it up because he's like, hey, look at me. I just got whatever they're saying right now. This is creepy and I just committed murder and I got away with it. And this is my trophy. Right. But we're doing hell laundry over here. It's springtime. So we're doing like all like the, comforters, curtains, you name it, just getting in it. So here. Okay. So third, regarding the accuracy of the description, Kohberger matches DM's description. Now, Kohberger matches DM's descriptions. Male, white, skinny, athletic build. I am sorry, but Bryan Kohberger isn't far from an athletic build. He does not look like a basketball player at all. Okay? You got to be out of your mind if you think Bryan Kohberger in that picture looks like a damn basketball player. Okay? Stop. Full stop. Okay? No way. Skinny. Check. But she said not skinny, though. You know? Lean, toned. I don't think Bryan Kohberger fits that, but whatever. Male, okay, he's a male. White, okay, everybody on the University of Idaho's campus is basically white except for some athletes. Yep, he's a few inches taller than DM's 5'10". Not someone she knew with bushy eyebrows. Okay. I think everybody in, minus your redheads, even probably redheads would have bushy eyebrows, but this would be everybody in freaking Idaho to me. So of course he's going to match the description, because what type of a description is this? Okay. This is 90% of the descriptions of males in Idaho. So of course, to say that it matches the description, wow, that's just wow for me. So see State's Exhibit, then they have the driver's license listing him at 6 foot, and State's Exhibit S 6 photograph taken by Bryan Kohberger on November 13th at 10:31, showing his eyebrows. Fourth, regarding the level of certainty, DM texted BF a description immediately after her observations. She was interviewed on. What do you mean? She didn't say that. She didn't give a description of him in her texts immediately after. That's not accurate. I mean, what are they talking about? She was interviewed on 5 separate occasions, and she provided grand jury testimony. Yeah, that she was sleeping and woke up at 4. And she woke up to music, Murphy, people talking, and what was the next one? DM without fail gave the same description, which in and of itself indicates her level of certainty. On November 17th, 2023, she relayed to investigators she was suffering from trauma and was unsure of what is real or not. DM admitted many times she was probably still intoxicated. I don't know if I was still drunk. Probably was. I don't know for sure. I was really asleep. I woke up out of nowhere. Like, what? When I saw this, I was like, I couldn't believe it. This is in quotes. I was asleep. I was really asleep. I woke up out of nowhere. You guys, at 3:51 a.m., she is saving a new contact in her phone. This is where it becomes not reliable. This is where it becomes, we have an issue with the truth here, because DM was awake at 3:51. Now she's saying that she woke up out of the blue. And I was obviously probably still a little drunk. I just woke up. I just woke up out of nowhere. I just woke up. I don't remember fully. Admittedly, DM made statements such as, I believe I was also very drunk. I don't know how much of this was real. Like, I don't know if my mind was like doing whatever. I don't know any of it. Like, half of the stuff, I don't know if it's a dream or if it's real. And then here's where my thing is, what do you mean half of the stuff? It's very interesting language to me. Like, half of the stuff. What half of what? Half of the stuff. Like, what? Half of what? And the only way that I could be scared or be having any type of trauma is I would have had to see something. What did I see where I'm, remember like the whole, like, people are pranking and, you know, wouldn't we expect to see like a text talking about that? Like, oh my God, hey, I'm really freaked out. Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, Ethan, like, what are you guys doing? You know, I just saw this fucking masked man. Are you guys fucking around again? Like, where is any of that? Where is any of that? Those are the type of texts that I would be thinking that would be there about this whole pranking. I'd be like, knock it off, you guys. What the fuck? I'd be pissed. You know? But here, how... now I know why you really wouldn't be pissed. You really weren't woken up. I was up. 3:51. I'm saving a contact in my phone. I just have no clue. But the investigators told DM they only wanted DM to focus on what she knew was true. That's the most important. So, but investigators, DM agreed after this. DM provided the same description with absolutely no variances. DM also made it very clear that the eyebrows are the features she most clearly remembered. It is evident by the degree of detail she provided about the events. Okay, this is what's interesting. Now, this is where Ann Taylor is going to hammer this. It is evident by the degree of detail that she gave and provided about the events leading up, during, and after the crimes, that she provided reliable descriptions. And that's where Ann Taylor's going to be like, no. No, she didn't. She was not truthful. She was not truthful. There was somebody at that house, or she was talking to somebody. She was saving a contact. She was up at 3:51 a.m. on her phone. Or if she wants to sit here and tell us that somebody else was making those save the information in her phone. But at 3:51 a.m., she was not asleep. And she's never mentioned this to anybody, ever. They did do a phone dump, but they never looked at them. That's what Idaho does. They do phone dumps. They gather all your phones, but then they never look at them, because their thing in Idaho is that they know if they look at things, then it's going to be uncovered. And they couldn't let somebody then testify in this manner. So I want to know, since the defense has released and said that, her phone, she was doing X, Y, and Z, has Dylan Mortensen been interviewed since? All of this is par course of what happened in the Drake Moore case with the phones. So here. So that statement right there from the state to say that DM also made it clear that the eyebrows, it is evident by the degree of detail she provided about the events leading up, during, and after the crimes that she provided reliable descriptions. And no way. Lastly, regarding the length of time between the crime and identification, while there are multiple consistent descriptions, it was not possible for DM to provide an identification because the male was completely covered with only nose and eyes visible. After weighing the above factors, the court should hold that under the totality of the circumstances, DM's descriptions of the male, especially bushy eyebrows, are reliable and thus admissible. And here it is that no. The totality of the circumstances. What totality? It wasn't until the defense revealed the totality that this would become not reliable, because she completely left out the fact that she was awake at 3:51. So she wasn't just woken at 4 o'clock out of the blue, out of nowhere. She was awake at 3:51. She did not go to bed at between 3 and 3:20, unless she wants to say that somebody else was there with her and that they used her phone. So it'll be interesting. Now, DM statements are relevant and admissible. So this is under Idaho Rules of Evidence 401. Evidence is relevant if it has the tendency to make a fact more or less probable. This is where I say that it's not relevant, because how does that picture make it more? It has to make the fact more or less probable than it would be without the evidence. And the fact is of consequence in determining the action. So the defendant argues that the evidence of bushy eyebrows is not relevant. It's not relevant. And they say that is not the case. DM is the only living person who saw the person responsible for the 4 homicides at 1122 King Road on November 13th, 2022. Her description of this individual, including characteristics such as bushy eyebrows, has the tendency to make a fact, i.e. the identity of the killer, more probable than it would be without the evidence. This fact is of consequence in determining whether Bryan Kohberger was the same male DM saw that night, the person responsible for the homicides. The central question before the jury. This evidence is relevant. DM was shown the picture of him, and she says, well, I would expect that this would pop out at me seeing this, and it doesn't pop out at me. That is relevant. I believe that DM saying bushy eyebrows. For me, that's, and everybody that they're going to be showing in this case, it's like, what if the killer doesn't have bushy eyebrows? Okay. What if the killer does not have bushy eyebrows? How do we know that the killer or killers has bushy eyebrows? How do we know that? Well, because DM said so. Wait, what? We're going to let the jury hear this off of DM saying this. That's like how, that's this argument here. Should the jury hear that the killer had bushy eyebrows because that's what Dylan said? Well, defendant argues that the evidence of bushy eyebrows is not relevant. Again, they said that that's not the case. Defendant then argues, pursuant to Idaho Rules of Evidence 403, this relevant evidence should be excluded. They're saying this should be excluded because its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice and confusion of the issue. I think it wouldn't matter who the defendant would be. I think that it should be out. That I'm trying to, like, it doesn't matter if it would be Jack D. It wouldn't matter if it was whoever would be the defendant in the situation. What is clear from the defendant's filing is that the defendant doesn't like this piece of the state's evidence. No shit, they don't like this piece of you're calling this evidence. You're calling somebody that lied to the grand jury about waking up at 4:00 in the morning and then giving this spiel. Yeah, we don't like that evidence because it's not accurate. 351, she's saving a contact. She was so descriptive in everything that she did. She just forgot to mention the fact that she saved a contact in her phone. Or is all the stuff that she told you that was so descriptive not true? So again, state saying that what is clear from the defendant's filing is that that the defendant does not like this piece of the state's evidence, DM's description of the male having bushy eyebrows, and therefore would like to keep this piece of evidence from the jury. However, his arguments are without merit. I disagree. As shown above, DM gave consistent descriptions of the male she saw at the time in question. One of those consistent descriptions is that the male had bushy eyebrows. So I think Hitler's going to say, well, you can just go ahead and destroy her on cross-examination. So is this fodder for cross-examination? Hey, you're just going to be able to bring all these things up that she lied. And then that's where I kind of asked Andrea, when I had Andrea on the show, to say, I feel like the defense is going to have to decide how they handle these witnesses based on Judge Hitler's rulings on things. However, again, one of those consistent descriptions is that the male had bushy eyebrows. This description is clear. Well, eyebrows is not clear. She's saying that eyebrow, then it was eyebrows. Then she didn't know. Then she didn't understand how do I even know the guy's white? This description is clear. It is not confusing and therefore will not confuse a jury, but it has to. What's the probative value? So the probative value is that this is helping support a fact. A fact. So it is not confusing and therefore will not confuse a jury. The fact, look at this, the fact that this description may or may not implicate defendant is not a reason to keep this fact from the jury's consideration. So then we're going to have to talk about, this argument puts Dylan in a horrible position on cross-examination. Because if this comes in, then we're going to talk about, okay, now Dylan, you testified to the grand jury, right? And during your grand jury testimony, did you tell them that you were up at 3:51 saving a number in your phone? Well, why not? Now, you could clearly spell that name correct, and you spelled the last name correct, right? And you saved the number correct. Is it all accurate? Why didn't you tell the jury? Why didn't you tell law enforcement that you were up at 3:51 saving a number in your phone, creating a new contact? Did you forget? You didn't think that it was important? You didn't think that it was important to tell the police that you were awake at 3:51 and not, you told them that you went to bed between 3 and 3:20? Why? Why did you tell them that you went to bed between 3 and 3:20? I didn't realize what time it was. They're the ones that were putting all these times on things. I didn't know what time anything was. Or weren't they having you look at your phone? No, I had already given my phone over. So in none of these statements do you ever talk about times? No. It'll be interesting. It is not reasonable to believe the jury will convict the defendant based on the status of his kept or unkept eyebrows. It is not reasonable to believe the jury will convict the defendant based on the status of his kept or unkept eyebrows. While this fact is prejudicial, relevant evidence tends to be. It is not unfair. No, it's not reliable because the person that told you this lied to you. That's the problem that I have. This becomes not reliable. Okay? That's my issue. My issue is that it wouldn't matter who was the defendant, is that this is not reliable. Okay? I don't care who the defendant would be. Her saying this is not reliable. And so the defense is saying it is not reasonable to believe that the jury will convict the defendant based on the status of his kept or unkept eyebrows. While this fact is prejudicial, relevant evidence tends to be. It is not that it's not unfair. And so their argument is basically saying, well, when something hurts your case, it's prejudicial, but that doesn't mean it's inadmissible. DM's testimony will be based on her personal knowledge. Again, I don't see that this is going to get in. Her personal knowledge, let's talk about that. The defendant's reliance on IRE 602 is illogical they're saying it's illogical when you're going to be arguing from this standpoint. Under IRE 602, a witness may testify to a matter only if evidence is introduced sufficient to support a finding that the witness had personal knowledge of the matter. Evidence to prove personal knowledge may consist of the witness's own testimony. DM will testify based on her recollection of what she observed on November 13, 2022, which will include her observations of the male in the 1122 King Road residence at the time of the homicides having bushy eyebrows. That's her personal knowledge. DM is competent to testify. The defendant next takes another run at challenging DM's competency to testify. Under 601, every person is competent to testify except persons whom the court finds are incapable of receiving just impressions of the facts about which they are examined or of relating to them accurately. The defendant has already tried and failed at challenging DM's competency in previous filings. That doesn't mean you can't file it. That's because of the information that was available then. This court has held defendant's own proffer establishes that DM's account were remarkably consistent throughout her multiple interviews with law enforcement. Order on defendant's motion for Franks. Also, DM was a direct witness and was able to consistently articulate the details she remembered throughout each interview, especially as to the fact relied on in the search warrant affidavits. Dude, are you guys kidding me? I cannot even believe that you're bringing this up. What do you mean? She was awake. She was awake at 3:51. Woo. Especially as the fact relied on the search warrant affidavits. The search warrant affidavit says that she was asleep, despite the fact that she claimed her memory was fuzzy, or that she felt like it was a dream, or that she was still intoxicated. Applying the court's reasoning in the Hoisington case, but in this case, the defense will be able to probe into DM's capacity and opportunity for observation, her attention, interest, and distraction at trial. Yeah, and that's the problem, is that you're forcing the defense to do this. Exactly. This is my problem. This is my problem with this, is that you're laying Dylan out to just be shellacked. And I just think that this is wrong. So they're saying, like, in this case, the defense will be able to probe into DM's capacity and opportunity for observation, her attention, interest, and distraction at trial. The jury is perfectly capable of assessing DM's credibility by weighing her testimony. You guys see what's being set up here, right? You know, whether it's consistency, the deficit, everything right there through cross-examination. And so the state's saying, is going to make the defense go at Dylan. In conclusion, the state respectfully requests that the court rule consistently with its previous findings that DM is credible. And competent to testify, and allow DM to testify at trial regarding her recollection of the male she saw in her residence during the early morning hours. And this is all I have to say, is that this is, if it's in, all of this stuff's going to come out. I mean, it's all going to come out regardless, but the state is going to have no way to protect Dylan by saying, like, it's outside the scope or anything like that. Like, it's in, like, they're going, hey, go at her. So Ashley Jennings did that one. And then, so this is the, here we go. This is the photo that was put in just after it, you know, State's Exhibit S5 and the driver's license. And I think the driver's license is interesting because of the date that it expires, 11/22/2024. But going back to this selfie, I think it's going to be interesting who this was sent to, if it was sent to somebody, what it was sent for, who it was sent to, what's the context around this. I think the state, they put it all out there to do what? to have mainstream media run exactly how they did with it. Okay. But there's a shower curtain there. I struggle with the fact that if you don't think that he showered until right before this picture, that, wow, I think that, ooh. So he's just hanging around his apartment, walking all around, possibly fibers, DNA going on everywhere and anywhere in the house, in the apartment. I would think that he would be taking a shower right when he got back home. I also think that it could be that he just didn't shower right there. Okay. Because he's in his bathroom. It's where people usually take their little selfie pics, and they usually do it the opposite way. Just ask Paul O'Keefe. So I don't know. Like I said, I believe that this becomes relevant if he's found guilty after the fact for the sentencing phase, because then it would be, if you want to spin this that way. But I think only Bryan Kohberger could tell you what this selfie was about. I think that only the person that got a text message with this sent to them what it was about. There's rumors out there that this was sent to his mom and that he buttoned up his top button. I don't know. But it doesn't look like he's been in an altercation. I think that every selfie that somebody takes is creepy. That's what I think. I don't know. What I think's interesting is that we're over here talking about what somebody did and took a selfie at 10:31 a.m., which fucking A, everybody takes selfies. But I just think it's wild that we're not talking about the fact that what contact was saved at 3:51 a.m. What pictures were taken on Bethany's phone at 8:30 in the morning? From 7 to 8:30, Bethany's calling her parents, texting her parents. Dylan's just surfing the fucking net. They're just laying around downstairs in Bethany's room. The state tried to make it seem like that the girls woke up at 10:30 because Dylan texted at 10:23 because she hadn't heard from her roommate still, like when she'd woke up, like please answer and all that. 911 wasn't called until 11:50. I mean, there's just a lot of things that we want to talk about this selfie here. Like, wow. Well, when he's found guilty, then I guess somebody was saying that it's a trophy. Okay. This is the first time me hearing a selfie as a trophy before. But I think that if he was found guilty, then you can go ahead and dive into what you think that this would be about. But does this picture make it more probable to show the jury that he killed people? I don't know. I have a hard time. I thought that according to the families, that there was like a huge fight with Xana and Ethan, that there was a huge fight on that first level, or which would be the second level, but in the beginning, based off what the families were saying. But this photo doesn't indicate that there was I don't know. I think that the other part that I want to say is when you want to talk about grasping for straws, that if the state has to put this out there and use a selfie taken at 10:31 with a thumbs up of a dude in a button-up shirt at 10:31, when you want to talk about grasping at straws, this selfie, like, wow. Like, if this is what the state has, that's crazy. You know. I think it's going to be interesting with the neighbors testifying that he was always up at hours vacuuming and stuff like that. Because that just came out in one of the motions that dropped about him cleaning and stuff like that. To the transparency, does anybody else notice the headset he's wearing? Who is asking him for his selfie? Yeah. Joyful Dolphin says, I can't wait till this is over. Looks like a kid who took his pic to send to his mom and dad. That's what I'm being told. I'm being told that it was something to do with his top button. But that's just rumors. What else? I think it's sad because Bryan Kohberger has he's autistic. I'm going to go over that report or whatever, but to keep hearing people say that like he's creepy and stuff like that, dude, I couldn't imagine calling somebody names that has a disorder. Okay, call him every name you want after the evidence comes out and he's found guilty. But I have friends of mine that have kids that are autistic, and that fucking bugs me. All right. Based off a picture to say that he's creepy and based off of his disorder to say, like, if that's what you got, okay. That's not a good case. That's my take on that. If he's responsible for stabbing and killing 4 people, then I think that he should never see the light of day, and let that come through in the evidence. But the state putting this and not sealing it, they did exactly what they wanted to do. And they got Ashley Banfield and Inside Edition and all of these mainstream media bullies that want clicks and views. They got what they wanted. So it is what it is. You don't see them reading the document about his condition. So I just know that I have friends that are moms, and they're raising daughters and sons that have Asperger's, are autistic, and I would stay away from making fun of that and just attacking the fact that the evidence and showing that he killed 4 people and that he should never see the light of day again. My kids, my roommate's daughter, the pictures that they take, and if somebody was to fucking say shit about her, I'd fucking come through the screen. So that's some bullshit. The mainstream media is the one putting it out there. So my take is the state is putting the defense in a situation that they're going to have to go at Dylan, and that's sad because they want to make the defense to be out the bad guys, and you're going to have to go at somebody that the jury is going to be sympathetic to. And so I'm interested to see what happens here, but I don't see how this. I wouldn't be voting guilty, and I wouldn't be voting innocent off of this picture. And anybody that would is a fucking complete idiot. So That's why I don't think that this picture, for its purposes, there's no probative value here. Because if that's the case, then we're going to start showing all the pictures of all the suspects and what they look like, right? So with that said, here's one for you guys, and it is the let's see. Yeah. Well, just people that can't help something. Here's the 911. Again, all of this stuff that they want in for the way that they got it in for they think this is the grand jury all over again. This isn't the grand jury. Also, we have a lot of shit that we didn't have before. So, be kind. Cheers, 1999. Sea Dog. One of the 12 times was the bank. We must assume more trips to the bank. Buffalo Wild Wings. What are we down to? Once, 3 times? I don't know. If she was a Gen X woman having any eyebrows are bushy, my brows be like, woo! Cheers to the bush, man. I just think that it shouldn't be allowed for any defendant. Dylan has no idea what she's talking about. Okay? 3 feet away from the fucking killer. Saw like looking. I know that he was looking at me. I know that he could see me because I could see his eyebrows. 3 feet away. 3 feet. Do you know how close that is? I don't think people are going to believe her. Yeah, just ask yourself if you would believe that. If you would believe that the killer, especially if they only went in there to kill one person, they ended up killing other people because they came in contact with them. So here we're just going to let Dylan go. If the state didn't check for physical fitness data from DM and BF phones, I swear to God. No, they did. You guys, they just didn't. Like, you have to understand how police officers do their investigations. They don't want to go too far. State is using LPSE Dixit to get the general description in. If DM was a male, she'd be behind bars. I think it's interesting that DM is like talking about that it's a white boy and like not a black kid. It is official. DM saw I emailed you. Keep up the great work, Lana. Thank you. Thank you, CDog88. Again, thank you to all the new members. Okay, so check this out. Ready? And I want to show you guys a picture that we have here. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to show you guys a Elantra. And you guys be the, you guys determine what you think. Okay. So I'm going to show you a picture of this Elantra, and then I'm going to show you a little bit about this. So first, oh boy. Okay, take a look. So from the diagrams we've seen, this is one that they shared. Okay, do you guys see that? This is one of the the pics that we get. All right. Well, this is the next thing we're going to show you. This is the screen one that's out there. Do you see where this license plate is? Uh-oh. Look at that. Holy shit. And it looks white in the daytime. You damn right it does. Look at where that license plate is. Look at where that license plate is. Look at that. Hanging off down here. So, argument to say, like, where do you want this license plate to be? It's interesting. It's interesting to me. What the hell is that? Well, that's an Elantra. That's right there at the house. And it's a green one. Looking kind of white though, looking kind of silver. But look where that license plate is. Just interesting. So, okay. It's just interesting where the front plate license plate is to me. You know? This is ban to get back to Idaho. Fuck no. Not yet. Look at that. That is so interesting to me. It's just so interesting. So interesting. Where do they want that license plate to be? I don't know. All right. Next up. This 911, the defense objection to the state's motion limiting for the 911 call. So comes now Bryan C. Kohberger through his attorney's record and hereby objects to the state's motion limiting to admit the 911 call and any accompanying transcript. The state relies on the exceptions to the hearsay rule and effect on listener. So Mr. Kohberger's objection is grounded in his constitutional rights, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment. So the 911 call itself, the state correctly recognizes that the statements on the 911 call are hearsay. Idaho rules of evidence make hearsay is inadmissible unless it meets with an exception. So the state identifies 2 exceptions to the rule against hearsay. And so I want to point out, though, that it's for the purposes right there. Reviewing the grand jury testimony shows the state misplaces reliance on at least some of the statements about Xana. The state ignores previous sworn testimony when it claims that the 911 call contains present sense impressions because the declarants were observing Xana. The state has not identified what exception to the rule against hearsay applied to which statements, with the exception of the previously discussed statement. Review of the record and background show neither exceptions applies. The state reliance on the conclusion reached by Judge in denying Mr. Kohberger's motion to dismiss the grand jury indictment Mr. Kohberger disagrees with the conclusions and the state's reliance on the findings. Judge's findings do not include a full analysis of the applicable exception accompanied by the background information. This court is not bound by Judge's ruling. I cannot wait to hear about this. You guys, this grand jury, okay, remember we were supposed to have a preliminary hearing. We didn't. And we had to have this grand jury that it was basically it was so skewed because they had information, but as long as you don't open it and go looking into it and divulging into it, then okay, we can act like we didn't have that yet. That was the facts. So here, we should ask ourselves why. Okay, hold on. We should ask ourselves this question. Why would the state need to this hold on, wrong one. Where are these self-authenticating records at? Okay, here. We should ask ourselves why the state needs to do this, and because it doesn't make sense. These are what the state is deeming that they want to be self-authenticating records. And Brian's like, wait, what? So the state provided a list containing terabits of discovery in its motion for admission at trial based on an exception to the rule against hearsay. This is an example of the discovery practices the state engages in, which violate Mr. Kohberger's right to due process and a fair trial. Right here, this is an example of the discovery practices that the state engages in, which violate Mr. Kohberger's right to a fair trial. Due process, baby, due process. Mr. Kohberger grounds his objection in the United States Constitution, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment, and the Idaho Constitution, Article 1. The state has not provided a specific record with a certificate and affidavit. The state has promised certification in the future, but has failed to provide or properly identify the record and how it falls within 803.6 and or 8. And this is about the business record exception to the hearsay rule is 6, which allows admission of a record or report if it was made and kept in the course of a regularly conducted business activity, and if it was the regular practice of that business to make the report or record. The provided list is not easily identifiable as to which records the state is referring to. Many of the records require foundation because the state has not supplied information to guarantee completeness and authenticity of the record. I love it, foundation. Aside from the issues of authenticity, the state provides no basis upon which any of these records are relevant and meet Idaho Rules of Evidence 401, 402, 403. Before any of these records are admitted, they must first be relevant. Only then does the determination of whether an exception to the hearsay rule even matter. Ready? Look at what they just want to be in. First of all, Linda Lane surveillance footage. Look at this typo. 4/5/2020. It was supposed to be 2023. So they just want it to be boom. It's in. Now the defense is saying these surveillance videos contained in this folder are 2 videos from the same viewpoint for this one, for 1330. They are 2 videos from the same viewpoint. They are each 1 hour time block. Counsel has located discovery video footage from the 2 cameras that are between 8 and 9 gigabytes of data. This data runs in numerous clips of varying length with an approximate total of 12 and a half hours. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on from Linda Lane. There is no certificate for this footage establishing the criteria required. So remember this whole thing that like you got to go have the person testify that, yep, this is, so I want you guys to see, this is just, we want all this stuff in. And it's like, wait, what stuff? Just automatic. No. So the next thing is the Albertsons, the video surveillance and business records for November 13th. This is a surveillance recording that is about 3 GBs in size. The file contains multiple views that cover about a 2-hour block. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. You guys, I want chain of custody on this. The chain of custody in this case is so important with these records, because if Bryan Kohberger wasn't on the map until, when did you go and even try to obtain the Albertson videos? The ones from Washington. We need dates on this. Because my whole thing is, what you're going to start running into is, well, if they went and obtained these cameras, let's say before 12/19, 2022, wait, what? Why did you go to Albertsons before 12/19, 2022? So let's see what they just went ahead and just get in here. Amazon financial and user records for Bryan. And then there's an Excel spreadsheet with information and categories for subscription information and order history for an Amazon account, Mr. Kohberger and his family members. Then there's this other one that's 243 that contains Mr. Kohberger's his father's account. These records list purchases for the entire family. Then this one, AV398, contains subscription history, click activity, and sign-in history for the Amazon accounts for Mr. Kohberger and his family. Then this one here, this is where Michael Douglas comes in, and he's with the Idaho State Police. Mr. Kohberger objects specifically to AV832. It is a police report, and the prosecution must have a witness to testify about the contents of a police report. He objects to the rest of the requested documents because the records are not a complete record. The court should consider Mr. Kohberger's motion to exclude all Amazon records and expert testimony in conjunction with this state request. On March 12, 2025, the state filed expert opinions related to Amazon records some 3 months after its expert disclosures deadline. Like, what is going on here? AT&T phone records for Mr. Kohberger, Madison, and Xana. Well, Mr. Kohberger notes that these records are one copy of several copies obtained during the course of the case. This folder also contains records related to someone else. There's phone records of somebody else in this. Who? Absolutely wild. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the records were made and kept in the course of a regularly conducted business activity. And if it was a regular practice of that business to make the report a record. Mr. Kohberger seeks exclusion of these records based on the state's incomplete expert disclosures. This should not be allowed. This should not be an allowed method of circumventing those failures. See, I already know the question of my answer, but I try to put it in a way for everybody to understand, because I'm going to show this to Bob and Allie and say, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Because I've never seen in any case before where somebody has used this way of, all right, we just want to have all these be admitted as self-authenticating records. Okay. And here the defense is calling them out. Like, wait a second. No, this should not be an allowed method of circumventing those failures of what you didn't do. Bagel shop video surveillance. This video surveillance is over 7.5 gigabytes in size. No information has been submitted explaining how this video is certified or what portions the state intends to use. Bank of America records. For BF and Xana, the two folders contain different sets of information. One of them's Bank of America records for BF and Xana. There's an additional record listed that appears to be of another person. Additionally, sections of this record are redacted, blocking out information. Next is the Banner Bank. This is for Ethan. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the records were made and kept during the course of regular conducted business activity, and if it was the regular practice of that business to make the report or record. Cafe, surveillance. This disclosure contains still photos as well as multiple files of recordings. The total amount of video footage available is around 2 hours. The state has not disclosed what portions of this video is intended to be used. Corner Club video, how about this? The video surveillance from November 12th, so it's before midnight and then after midnight. These two files may be duplicate disclosures. The video surveillance is from 14 different cameras. You guys, there was 14 different cameras in that place. You know everybody that came and went from the corner bar. There is no disclosures containing what sections of the discovery intends to use at trial or how this record is a regularly collected and maintained record for the business. Then they go on to talk about, well, we have the Corner Club financial transactions from November 13th. This record is 138 pages of receipts from the Corner Club bar. There is no disclosure regarding what pages the state intends to admit as evidence or how these records are a regularly collected and maintained document of this business. Again, some of this stuff would be, but you have to do it the right way. I mean, what is this? I would think to show how much alcohol they had, drinking, because that's what one of their claims is going to be, How about then? Here we go to Costco. Surveillance. You guys, I'm going to go to my local Costco and I'm going to ask them if they have surveillance from 6 weeks ago. So they're trying to get this in without trying to explain who went and picked this up, when this was picked up. We're just, these are all just self-authenticating documents we have here. DeSales student records regarding Bryan. This disclosure is thousands of pages of documents that are not organized in any fashion. This disclosure involves information related to Mr. Kohberger's calendar, coursework drafts, final drafts, testing emails, syllabus for classes while he was a student. The state has not specified what out of this extensive and disorganized information it intends to use. How records contained in Mr. Kohberger's personal school Google account are a business record kept in the ordinary course by DeSales. How these privacy protected educational records are even admissible in court. Dick's Sporting Goods records of sale for Bryan Kohberger. The disclosure contains a copy of sales record from June of 2022. The state has not specified what records it intends to admit as evidence, how it was made and kept in the course of a regular conducted business. Then Discover, Kaylee's. This record contains a certification for 33 pages of records. The state has supplied 17 only. The state has supplied 17 pages, including compliance forms and emails. The record is incomplete. Why would you be hiding 15 pages, 16 pages of Kaylee's shit? So that we don't, what was Kaylee buying with her Discover card that you don't want it to be seen? Do you understand that the time that it would take to go through this shit and to see exactly each item that you're asking to be self-authenticating documents to sit here and go through this shit. No, they're not doing that. They're trying to get shit in ways that you're not allowed to. Like, all right, next. DoorDash records for Xana and Ethan. So this contains Ethan's DoorDash records, but does not contain records for Xana. Wow. The 4523 disclosure is a DoorDash search warrant return. Now, the search warrants that I had, they were warrant returns contained photographs, a list of deliveries to 1122 King Road, not to the individuals. So I wonder if that got amended and there was an additional one that went for each person because it was for the address. And a spreadsheet of communication between the person ordering the food and the DoorDasher. The state has not specified which of these records it intends to use at trial. How they were made and kept in the course of a regular business. That part's going to be fine because they're going to say, like, yeah, these are normal. So they didn't get the 4/5/2023 disclosure is a DoorDash search warrant returns. Early warning records. You guys know what those are? This is like your credit score and shit. Let's see, financial shit, the records contained in this folder. The state has not specified which of these records it intends to use at trial, how they were made and kept. ENS services. This is the surveillance of the video. You guys, this is a camera that is so important in this case. This disclosure contains two dates of surveillance, each with 125 entries. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the records/videos was made and kept in the course of a regular conducted business. That's the 1300 Johnson Ave. Farmers insurance surveillance. This disclosure contains two files. One has 641 separate videos and the other has 175 videos. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Floyd's cannabis. The surveillance in this disclosure comes from two separate cameras and has multiple views. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. This crypto.com financial records for Bryan. This disclosure contains records that show purchase history and include the time, but not the date. Account activity and automated chats relating to the account update. The state has not said what they're planning on using them. Oh, here. And if it was a regular, okay, right here. On March 13th, 2025, for the first time, the state disclosed that its expert, Michael Douglas, intends to rely on this record in his summary. You guys, 3 months late. 3 months late. The grub truck video, surveillance video. Harbor Freight business and surveillance records. This disclosure contains surveillance video receipts and a product manual. Most of the purchase receipts belong to people other than Mr. Kohberger. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the... I think that's for third-party culpability. I don't know why. I just have that weird feeling. Idaho Central Credit Union bank records for Madison. Indiana. Okay, so this Indiana Mountain Lake surveillance and records, that's over there by where Bryan lives. This disclosure does not contain video surveillance. How does it not? That's the whole fucking purpose of that. It does contain records of entry and a visitor's log. The time frame exceeds the date Mr. Kohberger was arrested. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. This disclosure does not contain video surveillance. Where is it? That's what it says, surveillance and records, and there's no surveillance attached. This is wild to me. Joanne fucking Fabrics. Come on down, Joanne. Joanne Fabrics. Woo! Get her ass over here. Joanne, you're involved in this shit. Don't you lie. Joanne Fabrics, man. What does Joanne have to do with this case? Well, let's find out. Joanne Fabrics. Let's see. God damn it, Joanne. Always getting yourself in pickles. Joanne. Okay, Joanne. This disclosure contains, so I always pay attention to these numbers. So 868, that's deep. This disclosure contains purchase information and a receipt. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the Latah County Sheriff's Office Deputy Darren Duke body-worn camera on August 21st. This disclosure cannot be presented by the state of Idaho pursuant to IRE. This is not a business record. It's like you can't even use it for those purposes. Then the Latah County Sheriff's Office citation. This disclosure cannot be presented by the state of Idaho because this is not a business record. You guys, what's going on here? Why aren't they just, I mean, Marshalls, baby. Marshalls. We have Marshalls. This is Marshall's financial records for Mr. Kohberger. So he must have like a card there. It contains a variety of documents that include, wait, what? Police reports, photos, interviews, handwritten notes. What? This disclosure contains Marshall's receipts. You guys, they're saying this has most of which are not related to Mr. Kohberger. The state has not supplied a certificate of any record within this file. Contains documents that include police reports, photos, interviews, handwritten notes, consent forms, victimology questionnaires. Basically, this is their way of showing like your guys' shit is all over the place. Who's in charge here? Who's in charge here? This is Ann Taylor's way of saying, just calling them out. Just calling them out. This is that bad. In this file folder, this is what you have in there. Now it contains a single-page document listing purchases from multiple businesses. This file contains nothing to identify what it is or who it is about. No certification accompanies this document stating who generated this document or who it relates to. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate. Wow. National Weather Service records. The National Weather Service records. The state has not provided certification in compliance with case law and rule. New America Bank records for Kaylee. Contains a sign-in sheet. Contains information produced pursuant to a search warrant. Contains multiple files of unrelated records as well as a duplicate. Only one file has a purported certification. PayPal, Venmo. This disclosure contains Venmo records from Mr. Kohberger. This record does not have any sort of compliance with case law or statute. This disclosure contains records from Mr. Kohberger's PayPal. The state has included a purported certification of these records is not included. This disclosure contains records from PayPal. These records are different from those contained in this one. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. PNC Bank records for Mr. Kohberger. This record contains Mr. Kohberger's account information with transactions from June of 2022. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Pennsylvania State Employees Credit Union. MK. Michael Kohberger. Marianne Kohberger. Damn, they went for their parents' accounts too. Michael Kohberger, Marianne Kohberger. Petco contains Petco records from purchases made with cards associated with KG and her rewards card. There is a purported certification for these records. The state has not provided, though, any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Rite Aid. Now, this is wild. Rite Aid financial records. Ready? This is it contains an email stating that they do not have any video footage and no transactions for BF. The disclosure consists of 3 pages of records are provided, but nothing to identify who they relate to. The state provides, dude, there's an email because the police at one point or another, they went to Rite Aid and said, we want to see if Bethany Funk was there. Pull up where Rite Aid is in Moscow or Pullman. This is wild. It contains an email saying that they do not have any video footage and no transactions for BF. Who? Rite Aid went through that? What? You guys, what? Oh, I'm well aware of that. I think it's interesting. Ross is a single page disclosure that lists purchases not from Ross stores. And has no identifying information. Damn. Sunset Mart. Oh, here we go. Sunset Mart, guys. 1331. There, you know what this is? You guys know what this is, right? This is footage that they are using. FBI. Sunset Mart. 1311. This disclosure contains surveillance video from several cameras. There are 11 separate folders containing subfolders of footage. The recordings provide hours and hours of surveillance footage. God, can you just send that this way, please? The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the record/videos were/was made and kept in the course. Dude, they have to get this authenticated. They're just trying to get in all this shit because remember, who's going to authenticate that all these cameras were accurate and on local time? Where's the Rite Aid in Moscow? Where's it located? What's the address of the Rite Aid in Moscow? I'm interested in that. What's up, Sleuthy? Okay, here it is, Sunset Mart. This is the one in Pullman. What are the odds? This disclosure contains surveillance video from several cameras. There are 3 folders containing subfolders that contain recordings. The recordings provide hours and hours of surveillance footage. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the record/videos was made and kept in the course of a regularly conducted business activity, and if it was the regular practice of that business to make the report or record. Target. Rite Aid is like a CVS. Rite Aid is like a CVS. It's like a drugstore. 1810 West Pullman Road. Interesting. Thank you. Let's see. Target. Well, this disclosure is 51 pages of receipts from Target. The state has not provided. This disclosure contains an email trail regarding a gift card issued in 2014. Oh my God. Brian, what are you doing? Why would you dare buy a gift card? A certificate is disclosed, but no records are attached. This disclosure is the same single page disclosure listed for Ross in item 39. God, Ross, Target, that's okay. They got a mix up there. This disclosure contains a letter to Agent Douglas stating that they are providing the records for DM and BF from Target. Why were they so interested in where BM and DF were? They were at Target. The disclosure provides a certification stating 5 pages of documents are provided. The state has disclosed 6 pages of documents. They added a page. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the records/videos were made and kept in the course of regular. Okay, so TikTok. You guys, were they looking to see if DM and BF bought fucking masks at Target for Halloween? They were clearly on people's radars, that because people would have those police would have been like, dude, this is not the story. We gotta like what the fuck, man? Come on, they weren't believing them at a noise complaint. You think that they were just like, yep, this has to be it. I just can't believe they're just throwing all this stuff in like here. This is how, these are self-authentication. So we don't have to have anybody authenticate this. And they're going to say that they're doing it for judicial economy. This is a capital case. Judicial economy. No, we need to know when you went and got these cameras. We need to know who got these cameras. All these documents. TJ, is that TJ Maxx? I think that's TJ Maxx. Look at DM. Oh, well, TikTok. Only Xana's. Blows my mind that you would only go and get Xana's. This record contains user history, including use, messaging, and videos. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. Wow. Nor has it been talked about in anybody's disclosures because it would have been put here. TJ Maxx, DM. Nobody else goes to TJ Maxx. I love TJ Maxx. This disclosure contains email communications relating to the disclosure and a single record of purchase by DM on 10/18/2022. I wonder what it is. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. T-Mobile, KG, DM. Banking records. Additionally, this disclosure contains this disclosure contains a copy of a grand jury subpoena and a letter of instruction. The state has not. I want to see what that letter of instruction is all about. Exhibit objection to state's motion. Oh, interesting. Under Armour transaction for Bryan Kohberger. This disclosure contains a letter responding to the records request and a record of a single purchase made by Mr. Kohberger on 6/24/2022 in PA. Wait, what? I thought he wasn't. I thought he was already in. Did he leave on the 26th? When did he leave? The state has not provided any specifics related to this. You guys remember this part of this video surveillance here. The disclosure contains a surveillance video lasting approximately 25 minutes. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends. Oh, Alta Financial Records. This disclosure contains purchase records for Kaylee and Madison and a person identified only by a member number. The disclosure contains a letter from this business. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. That's a makeup place. Hair products, makeup. Verizon. This is from Jack Decor. Bethany, Ethan. Each record contains a huge amount of data. This disclosure contains records for Ethan and Bethany. There are no records for JD in this disclosure. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Wow. Walmart surveillance and financial records for Bryan. This disclosure contains purchase history for Bryan. This disclosure is one of several containing surveillance videos from Walmart. In this particular folder, there are multiple cameras and surveillance videos. This would not open and were provided in a converted format. Not every video from this folder was provided in the converted format. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. Washington Department of Motor Vehicles. So they got a surveillance video from that day when he went there, allegedly. This disclosure contains surveillance footage. The state did not provide. This disclosure contains surveillance. Both disclosures have videos. The videos contain sound. Interesting. Trust bank records for Bryan. This disclosure contains Washington Trust Bank records from Mr. Kohberger. There is an Excel spreadsheet of transactions and PDG documents of images of Mr. Kohberger in his car at the ATM. Oh, wow. There we go. The images of Mr. Kohberger in his car at the ATM on the morning of 11/13/2022. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. When did they get these? That's the date of this will be interesting. You guys, normally what happens is if somebody comes in that you call to the stand and is authenticating when and where they got these and what they use them for. I just want to know when you went and got the shit. What date did you go and hit up this bank? Trying to get it in this way to me is you're trying to get around this really, really important date. When did you go and get this? Did you go and get these records before the 19th? Were they provided to law enforcement or in any form, feds, local, state? If it was before December 19th, there's a big problem here. Miss Potts, you think it's at the end of November? Is that right? Is that right, Detective Payne? Is that right? I'm super excited to go talk to Bob and Allie about the Idaho4 case. You know, it's just I have questions about, is this a way if Brian's team wasn't on it, you know what I mean? They're trying to slip in all this stuff so that they don't have to say when they went and got it. That's what it looks like to me. You're trying to hide the dates on when you got the shit. That's what it looks like to me. And they're like, you can't do this. Wells Fargo bank records for Maddie. This disclosure contains Wells Fargo record. These records were obtained pursuant to a search warrant. These disclosures contain not even, well, this record contains the grand jury packet and letter. Dude, who put this together? These records are not the same as the same contained in 155. Like, what the fuck? They're like, this disclosure contains Wells Fargo's record for Matt. They are the same records contained in this one. So Brian was at the bank in the morning of 11/13. Winco financial records for Mr. Kohberger. This is the same single page document reference in number 39, Ross, and 42 targets. This disclosure does not contain Mr. Kohberger's financial records relating to Winco. The state has not provided a certification for this record. Jesus. Like, this is sloppy AF, man. Woo! Winco financial records and video surveillance for BF, DM, KG, MM. This disclosure contains transactions for those listed above. The purported certification reads Winco food receipts only. This disclosure contains surveillance video from several cameras. The state is not. Oh, God. So we got Washington State University. Oh, here we go. Boom, daddy. This is what I wanted. Here we go. 59 and 60. This is the nuts. Washington State University video surveillance for November 13th. They want them to be self-authenticating records. Self. That means nobody has to testify to where they came from. This is the drive. This disclosure contains surveillance video from a variety of cameras and multiple separate videos of surveillance footage at WSU. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the records/videos were/was made and kept in the course of a regularly conducted business activity, and if it was the regular practice of that business to make the report or record. Dude, what date? When did they go and try to get these videos? Next up is the WSU parking records. This is my fave. This disclosure is record from WSU containing a vast amount of information about vehicles, parking, and campus-related information. Yes. What? We're going to be testifying, you guys, when anybody went and sought out these records. This disclosure contains content appearing to duplicate that of this. This disclosure contains a huge amount of data covering U of I and WSU parking permits, parking tickets, searches for vehicles through different entities, vehicle spreadsheets, specific files seeking 2011, 2013 Elantra, and 2019, 2022 Nissan Sentra. Boom! Hey. So they were looking for a Sentra, weren't they? We're getting wild over here. Truth and Transparency's bringing the fire. You guys. This is crazy. You guys, this is everything that we've been saying. Like, how is nobody talking about this? Mainstream media wants to talk about a selfie. I want to talk about a goddamn investigation. I want to talk about a fucking investigation, and nobody wants to talk about an investigation. I want to talk about how you wrote people off, how you write people in. I want to know some dates. Look at this. This disclosure contains a huge amount of data covering U of I and W. They're putting it together. No, motherfuckers, we're going to need that to be separated. When did y'all start giving a fuck about WSU parking permits and parking tickets and shit to do with WSU? This is all just whoop, in a big old, there you go, number 60 here in file 430. I would think that this would be way more important, way earlier than number 430. There are 2 WSU. Wait a second. Damn. Okay, so this disclosure contains a huge amount of data covering U of I and WSU parking permits, parking tickets, searches for vehicles through different entities, vehicle spreadsheets, specific files seeking 2011 to 2013 Elantra, and a 2019 to 2022 Nissan Sentra. There are 2 WSU-related folders. One contains some of the same information in AV 375, okay, and this one is 394, but also contains additional information. The second WSU-related file contains spreadsheets for various vehicles queried through traffic tickets. Yes. Ooh, daddy. Well, it doesn't sound like you're getting... The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. Give me those dates. We're going to need names of people that you talk to who created all of this shit. The state is seeking broad authority to provide in the future a certification for records listed above. These records are extensive. They contain several terabytes of video and thousands of pages. The state has obtained these records in a variety of ways. Yeah. How did they obtain these? That's all I care about. How did you obtain these? Some came through police work doing video canvassing. Others came from the search warrant service. And many came through federal grand jury subpoenas. I knew it. Federal, you people. Federal. Federal. Do you see that word? Federal. Federal. God, Hitler, dude. April 9th and 10th is going to be off the chain. Federal. I thought they didn't get to Bryan Kohberger that way. I thought that they all were working, commingling and doing everything. God. There's a problem here. Yeah. Lana, you know how many times this case you have said, there's a problem here. This whole thing is a problem. Oh, fuck yeah, it is. This is wild, man. Mr. Kohberger provides as and exhibit a copy of the federal grand jury subpoena he was provided inadvertently. Oh, fucking A! Shut up. You sloppy gizmos. Oh my God. They do this. Just like when they filled out for Bryan Kohberger to get that knifey poo, they put, we're going to go from dates 12, just until 12/6, even though he wasn't arrested until 12/29, and everyone just said that there's nothing to see there. There is everything to see there. They did that on 12/6 because they copy and cut paste from the federal shit, which means they had Bryan Kohberger's name way before 12/6, before 12/19. So how the fuck did y'all do that, which was before 12/10, which is when all of them supposedly gave it to the FBI to even start work on the IGG? Is anybody listening? Does anybody know how to put a timeline together? You guys, 12/6 comes before 12/29, and 12/10 comes after 12/6. Woo-wee. Straight fire right here. This is straight fire. Inadvertently giving us this shit. So Mr. Kohberger provides as an exhibit. I think they meant to put Mr. Kohberger provides as an exhibit a copy of the federal grand jury subpoena. He was provided inadvertently. He sought all grand jury subpoenas through discovery and motion to compel. He was not provided copies other than this inadvertently produced copy. Of interest and in support of his objection to the state's motion is that records were duly produced by search warrant and by subpoena. The copy of records is not identical in every production. This exhibit depicts a letter from the feds, from FBI agent Douglas, directing the keeper of business records to contact him prior to fulfilling the subpoena. Oh, daddy. Dude, what the fuck? This is insanity. Nothing to see here, though. Lana, you're just a crazy person. In the packet, in the exhibit, there is an affidavit of compliance which specifies what documents are responsive to the subpoena and specify what is supplied. As has been pointed out within the list discovery items above, when the affidavit has been produced in relation to the FBI grand jury subpoena, there is usually a discrepancy. Mr. Kohberger urges the court to first require the state to explain how each of these records are relevant because the mass production without specificity makes it impossible for Mr. Kohberger to effectively confront this evidence. The court must require verification of the records and videos produced along with any certification. Mr. Kohberger's objection to the state's broad request is summed up with reliance on his rights and protections under the United States Constitution. God keeps saying it. God, our rights. Nobody cares that we just keep getting fucked over here. Mr. Kohberger has protections of a fair trial, effective assistance of counsel, and confronting evidence produced against him. Idaho rules of evidence govern evidence admissibility in trial. Mr. Kohberger objects to the state's request that is a large sweep with a free pass for admissibility. The state's request is premature, excessively broad, and must be denied until the request can be disclosed specifically and properly litigated. Boom, daddy. Yeah, problems. God. Wow. Dude, wow. Wow. Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas. Let's go back to banging what's her name? Michael Douglas. Wow. Oh my God. This was crazy. All right, guys, on that note, I'm going to go have lunch. I want to thank Ms. Harris. Your $50 Cash App. I'm going to go have lunch with that. I'm going to rest up my voice because I have an amazing, thank God I have a guest tonight. He's going to do all the talking. Join me tonight, Maura Murray, the disappearance of Maura Murray. There's been a huge break in the case that's been 20 years old. One of the cases that happened when I was in college at the tail end, and the first to ever use social media to get out to the masses. Maura Murray, there was a CD found in her car with fingerprint on it. That guy was just arrested for his, right here in Columbus, his acts and actions towards animals. And so come listen. My guest is none other than James Renner, who did all of the oxygen discovery for the Maura Murray case, when the documentaries and shit like that. So it's right from the horse's mouth. And that's at 7 p.m. tonight. There should be a thumbnail up for it. So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So in 3 hours. 3 hours. As always, thank you, moderators, for modding. Thank you guys for throwing in your comments. God, you know what? I think I want some tacos. That sounds great. Tuesday tacos, perfect. But thank you guys so much. This is anything but an open and shut case, in my opinion. And there's nothing to see here. And that Bryan is just this psychopathic lunatic who killed 4 people. Okay, he may be that person, but please prove it without violating our rights. Just do it. I want there to be this evidence, okay? I want justice for the 4 people, okay? Who doesn't want justice for 4 victims who were stabbed to death in their own home? All right, guys, see you on the next one.